The Mayor and City Council welcome you to the Peoria City Council meeting. As a courtesy to others, please silence all phones. If you would like to address an issue that is on the agenda, or if you would like to speak to the Council regarding a non-agenda item, please complete a speaker request form, which can be found in the front lobby of the Peoria City Council chambers or in the tray to the left of the speaker's podium. Please place the completed speaker request form in the second tray to the left of the speaker's podium labeled Request to Speak. All speakers will have 3 minutes to complete their comments. A countdown clock is easily visible on the left side of the wall behind the City Council dais. Only items listed on the agenda may be addressed by the Council. Since items presented as part of a speaker's request have not been listed on the agenda, and due to the requirements of open meeting laws, the Council will be unable to respond to items presented as part of the speaker's request. However, please be aware that your comments will be noted. The speaker's name will be called to speak at the appropriate time, in the order that the forms were received. Thank you for your interest and participation in the Peoria City Council meeting.
The Peoria City Council meeting will now come to order. Please rise for a moment of quiet reflection and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Mayor Finn.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The clerk will please call the roll.
Mayor Carlett.
Here.
Vice Mayor Finn.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt.
Here.
Councilmember Patana.
Here.
Councilmember Binsbacher.
Here.
Councilmember Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Leone. Councilmember Leone.
Here.
Council Liaison Acosta.
Here.
And Council Liaison Gietrist.
Here.
Good evening and welcome to the Peoria City Council meeting of May 15th, 2018. The first item on our agenda this evening is a presentation. We are unfortunately going to be, I don't want to say celebrating, acknowledging the outgoing Youth Council liaisons, Maylee Acosta and Cassidy Gietrist. So I would like to ask both of them to join me on the floor, as well as Tammy Shreve, who manages our Youth Council Liaison program. Thank you. Thank you all for joining me here. We are going to start off with Tammy. Tammy, if you would give us an overview of the Youth Council Liaison program and everything that Peoria does for our youth.
Great, thank you, Mayor. We're very proud of Cassidy and Maylee and of our Youth Liaison program. We are now, today, completing our 5th year of the Youth Council Liaison program. We've had 10 youth sit on the dais with our council members. Cassidy and Maylee are number 9 and 10, and we are so proud of all the youth that we've had in this program. The purpose of the program is to allow high school students the opportunity to represent the youth, in essence, to be the voice of the youth on the council. And if you probably noticed throughout the year, Cassidy and Maylee both at the council study sessions and the regular sessions. And when you come to these sessions, you come prepared. They receive a packet just like the council members that's probably this thick, full of information on each item on the council agenda. We would meet before the council meetings and go over the items so they understood them and so they could participate in the conversations. And although they don't have a voting, they don't vote like the elected officials, they express their opinions. They can provide ideas and their comments and talk about what the youth view of the issue. In order to be selected to be a youth council liaison, you need to be on our youth advisory committee, and every year 2 youth are invited to then participate and be on the council to be on the dais with our council. These 2 young ladies have attended numerous city functions representing our council and have done a fine job at doing that. And they've also coordinated meetings at high schools. so that our council can meet with the youth groups there to talk about ideas and issues pertaining to youth, and to find out as a city what we can do to better serve our youth. And one of the things I've been so impressed with them is this year they've taken a very strong interest in management and the operations of a city. We have gone to water treatment plants, reclamation facilities, police facilities. They've asked questions. They want to know how it works. How do all the different departments interrelate? They've really become involved, and I hope have learned a lot. You have represented the youth of this city in an incredible manner this year. I'm so proud of you, and it has been a pleasure to be your mentor this year. And I will miss you, but I'm excited to hear about all your success in the future, so don't forget about me, and send me a text once in a while. Now the mayor has a few things she'd like to say.
I am going to start off with the acknowledgments for each of our individual Youth Council liaisons, and then we're going to give you an award. And so we're going to start off with Maylee. So as Tammy said, Maylee has participated in numerous city events. She has been on the Youth Advisory Board since 2016 and is currently the chair. She attended the National League of Cities in Washington, D.C., where she was able to meet other youth from around the country and share ideas for getting youth involved. She is graduating from Centennial High School and will be attending Northern Arizona University in the fall, where she received a 4-year Lumberjack Scholarship. Congratulations on that. She's a member of the Future Business Leaders of America Club and will be participating in the National Parliamentary Procedures Competition this June in Baltimore, Maryland. Maylee currently works 2 jobs, one of which is our Little Learners program. And so we are going to present this award to you. Go ahead, Tammy, you can give it to her. I don't have enough hands. And as well as her award, we are going to give her a copy of the video which she participated in, which is the Mayor's Peoria Pulse program. And I interviewed her. You can see that online, and this is hers to take away. So thank you for everything that you've done. Okay, you want to wait? Okay, all right. We will move along here to Cassidy. Cassidy, it has really been a pleasure to have you here. You have also participated in numerous city events. You have been on our Youth Advisory Board since 2015, and you are currently the vice chair. Cassidy also attended the National League of Cities in Washington, D.C. You are a sophomore at Raymond S. Kellis High School, and a junior next year. Really one of the youngest youth council liaisons we have had. You've been remarkable. And she will also be accompanying the Special Olympic Team Arizona Co-ed Soccer, National Co-ed Soccer Team for Arizona to Seattle in June. So thank you for your work with Special Olympics. That's wonderful. And so we would like to present you with an award. Cassidy, and this is also your copy. Thank you for being in the Mayor's Peoria Pulse segment. Really appreciate that. So we would love to hear from both of you. Oh, you're going to wait till, okay. They're not going to speak now. Okay.
So I would like to give you guys an award as well. So let me put this down real quick. We appreciate you guys, and just wanted to say thank you for letting us be on the dais with you all. It has been our pleasure.
Tammy, Bill and I will hold on to that basket if you want. We're out there.
All right, so we will be hearing more from them as we get into the comments from the council at the end of the meeting. And we will now proceed to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes liquor licenses and other types of items that require a public hearing. If there is any member of the public present who wants to address a public hearing that's on the consent agenda, please complete a speaker request form and place it in the bin next to the speaker's podium. And I have received no speaker's request forms. And so, is there a member of the council that would like to address anything, any public hearings that's on the consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes?
I would like to have 8C and 12C removed for presentation.
Thank you.
They know who they are.
All right. Is there a motion on the consent agenda with the exception of items 8C and 12C?
All motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, please vote.
Vote on the consent agenda.
And the consent agenda passes unanimously. We will now move on to item 8C. Mr. Tyne?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And Ed Striffler, our Architectural Services Manager, will provide a brief presentation on this item.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Mayor and Council. This evening, I prepared a brief presentation on item 8C, renovate main library, contract amendment to core construction. Tonight, I'll highlight the types of investments that we have and will continue to be making in the main library. The format of the presentation is where did we start, where are we currently, where we're headed, and then we'll conclude with the recommendation that's in the council's packet. So to highlight where did we start, back in fiscal year 2017, we made $166,000 of investment in new library furnishings and equipment. If you've been in the main library, you'll see that it has transcended beyond its old early 90s look into something a little more hip and a little more comfortable for our library patrons. While doing that, we made a $15,000 investment in what we call a whole building condition assessment. The goal there was to better understand, from a staff perspective, what we were headed into in terms of building systems improvements and the order that we might want to undertake them in based on the magnitude of the challenges. So where are we now? If you haven't driven past the main library, you should, and you'll find that it's covered in a whole lot of scaffolding with a whole lot of worker bees crawling all over it. Some of the photos of that effect are shown here in this slide. In fiscal year 18, we will have made a $1.24 million investment in the library as a whole, in addition to the prior year's improvements and what I'm going to talk about here shortly. While we were beginning to undertake physical improvements to the library, rehabilitation type items, we were also conducting a $76,000 library strategic plan. Many of you elected folks had an opportunity to give your vision to the consultant, and in the coming months, we'll be bringing some of that information back through the library board and ultimately to the council. But our physical improvements started with about $57,000 in repairs in things that you don't see and that we take for granted each day. Many people don't know that the library actually has a basement where we hide all the mechanical systems that keeps the library nice and cool and the books climate controlled. To avoid a repeat performance of a much larger city here in the valley who had a library catastrophe, we chose to make some investments real soon in things that would be assured would help us avoid any disruption in library service. Those you don't see, but in contrast, we've made nearly a $1 million investment in the building roof, which was over 25 years old, or right around 25 years old. The fascias and soffits, which were damaged due to deteriorated gutters that are up at the roof line. And unfortunately, at that time, we weren't able to assess damage that we discovered once the scaffolding was put up. And that's that we have an appreciable amount of damage in the under-eave area and the metalwork associated with the roosting of pigeons. Their visitation of us over the last 25 years has left their mark literally and deteriorated much of the metal. So we're using this opportunity while we've made the investment in the scaffolding to make a design change fundamentally of that detail that the average person won't see the difference, but will prevent our pigeon friends from roosting there any further. So I'd like to highlight that the last two items that you see on this slide talks about that pigeon roosting in the amount of $50,000. Also, while we're up there, we'll address some window seals that we've noticed are pretty sun damaged, and this is our opportunity to fix that. But when you add the $96,000 to it, the $96,000 to it, those two numbers equal the amount of your council action that we'll talk about here shortly. And that $96,000 is something that we're trying to earmark and not spend until we get through the library improvements and have left over for Willow Room finishes, ADA improvements in there, and some modifications to the fixed seating to bring it up to also a new and cleanly aesthetic. So where are we headed? I mentioned the study. Over the summer, we should finish and be able to bring through the library board and ultimately to the city council the outcomes of the library strategic plan, where we're looking at service delivery. We made a very specific choice to not tackle interior improvements to the library until we knew how library services might be changing, not only in the near term, but in the next decade or so. In anticipation that we would move from that study into interior type improvements, we made adjustments in the capital improvement program that you've approved to adjust the timing to allow us to do up to 2 different phases of interior improvements between fiscal year 19 and fiscal year 21. I'd like to highlight for everybody that investment that the council has made is just under $3 million of additional interior improvements in addition to the 2017 and 2018 improvements. So staff's recommendation this evening is for the council to approve a contract amendment to core construction in an amount not to exceed $145,000 and some change to mitigate issues that we have and may continue to encounter through the summer while the council is in recess. Any unspent dollars, as listed in your council communication, again, are being earmarked for that Willow Room. So I don't want to mislead folks that it's $147,000 or $146,000 pigeon problem. It is not. It's the council granting us that authority to make the appropriate contract moves in the summer while the council's in recess. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Hunt?
Well, thank you, Ed, and I really appreciate your work and staff work, the due diligence. We don't want a repeat of the city to the east, and that was caused by delayed maintenance, and that is pure and simple, and we are not going to have that problem because we're making these improvements, not improvements, but the maintenance now that's been much, much needed. It's a very well-used library. And if it were to encounter something like that, it would put a lot of people out of a place to recreate and to educate. So thank you, and thank you to your staff, and thank you to council for advancing this money and for approving it in the budget. So with that being said, I will move that we accept 8C, staff recommendation.
All right, we have a motion. Council, any other comments? Do I have a second?
Say second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. And 8C passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, Mr. Tyne, we will now move on to item 12C.
Great, thank you, Mayor. And this is a budget amendment to advance funding for an item that is approved in next year's budget, and we have Adina Lund, our engineering director, that will provide a brief presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight to talk about item 12C, the budget amendment, as Jeff just mentioned, for the placemaking initiative. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about placemaking. The leadership team staff has been working with Mayor and Council for the last year talking about placemaking. We've done this in various study sessions and workshops with Council. I'd like to go over the 4 key attributes that we're talking about with placemaking. They are accessible and well-connected to other important places in the area. They're comfortable and project a good image. They attract people to participate in activities and stay. They are sociable environments in which people want to visit again and again. As we've discussed previously, we're going to focus on 3 different areas in the city for these placemaking initiatives. Those are the Old Town, the P83 area, and the Happy Valley Road corridor. There's going to be a large variety of placemaking initiatives, but tonight we focus on 2 very particular areas. The first one you will see is outside of the Driftwood Coffee Shop that's located in Old Town. That's the southeast corner of 83rd and Jefferson. This would involve removing 2 parking spaces and providing an ADA accessible plaza with seating areas and shade. The second area we're focused on are plaza improvements at the public art installation. As you can see on the right, the Blue Spire, this was approved by council in late 2017. It's planned to be installed this summer. We want to provide a plaza area adjacent to it so people can stay a while and enjoy the view. So tonight we're asking to advance some funding so that we can work with the adjacent businesses, prepare the construction drawings. We would then use one of our on-call contractors later this summer to actually install the improvements, so that this fall we should be able to be out there in our place enjoying some social activities with one another.
Thank you. Councilmember Hunt?
Adina, so this is just an advance on the $500,000 that we approved in the budget for 3 different areas. Is this just the ability to draw from that?
So for fiscal year 19, we have $950,000. In fiscal year 20, we have $550,000.
Okay.
So this is asking for an advancement so we can start the design on just these 2 pieces. And then we will proceed with further areas that we'll be coming back to show you what we're doing in other areas of the city. These are just ones that we'd started with the businesses. We really want to capitalize on that synergy we have with them.
Okay, so this is an advance to start before the fiscal year.
Correct.
I see. Okay, thank you. And this is such a great idea. The placemaking, it's everywhere, and it is exactly what brings people together and gives us a quality of life. So thank you so much to your design people, and with that, I'll move that this 12C be accepted.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Councilor, is there any further discussion? If not, please vote. And item 12C passes unanimously.
And thank you to both of you.
All right, we will now move on to new business. This is the first of 3 public hearings we have this evening. Public hearing 14R, Truth in Taxation on Primary Property Tax Levy, fiscal year 2019. Mr. Tyne.
Great, thank you, Mayor. And as you had mentioned, this is the first in a series of hearings that are really part of the formal adoption of the budget. And for that, we do have our acting budget director, Barry Haug, that will provide one presentation for these 3 different items. So I'll pass it over to Mr. Haug.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mayor and Council. As Jeff said, tonight there are 3 council agenda items that are required as part of the formal budget adoption process. Oop, get the right one. Uh-oh. Did I do it? Sorry. There we go. All right. And here's our schedule. The first agenda item is that public hearing, and you actually adopt a resolution on the intent to raise the primary property tax for fiscal year 2019, and that's required by state statute and the truth in taxation requirements. The second is the public hearing and adoption of the final budget, and then the last item is just a public hearing with no action on the property tax levy that would come before you on June 5th for final adoption. So tonight, we're going to start with the public hearing and intent on the truth in taxation. As a reminder, the property tax in Arizona there's two separate categories. There's a primary levy, which can be used for any general government purpose. And then the secondary levy is tied directly to paying debt service for our general obligation bonds. So when we borrow money, that's how we pay it back. In the calculation of that levy, there are actually two variables. The first one is the tax rate, which is approved and adopted by council. And the second is the valuations, which are given to us by the Maricopa and Yavapai County. And those are the property values in the city of Peoria. So when you multiply those two things together, you get the tax levy. So what we're proposing in 2019 is a tax rate that stays the same as 2018. And you can see that it was $1.44 per $100 of assessed value. We also are proposing moving 10 cents from the secondary rate to the primary rate, but the overall rate would stay the same at $1.44. So if we look at historically our tax rate, you can see it stays pretty steady there for the last 10 years at $1.44 with that minor move in 2019 between secondary and primary. But here's where we're seeing the change. It's in the valuations. And since 2013, you can see we've increased our property values in the city. And so the reason we really need to meet tonight on this is because these values are going up, and that triggers the truth in taxation requirements. When we look at the overall levy, you can see because of that increased assessed valuation, we will collect more in 2019 than we did in 2018, about $1.4 million. And that, again, total increase is due from just the assessed valuation increase. So the truth in taxation item requires a unanimous roll call vote before we can go forward with the adoption of the final budget and property tax rate. Without that unanimous vote, we would have to come back probably in future meetings to finalize the budget and the property tax. The resolution to be adopted indicates the city's intent to increase the primary levy per Arizona statute. And again, the overall tax rate is proposed to stay the same. With that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Council, any questions? I have one question. You showed us the graph with the tax rate remaining the same for the last 10 years.
Yep.
Is that because you ran out of room, or did it begin just 10 years? I mean, how far back has it been since
So
we
before
raised
that,
the-
we actually, in 2008, it was higher. So actually, it decreased in 2009 a little bit. And prior to that, it was pretty steady as well.
So we decreased it in 2008.
And yep, in 2009, it actually went down from,
2009.
and then it stayed the same since.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a pretty good track record.
yeah.
Thank you. All right, and so this requires a verbal vote. All right, we need a motion. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second? Public hearing, yep.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. This is a public hearing, and I declare this public hearing open. Is there a member of the public, anyone here who would like to address this issue? Seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. All right, we have a motion and a second.
I was the motion.
And Vice Mayor Finn was the second.
Okay, Councilmember Patana.
Yes.
Councilmember Binsbacher.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Finn.
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt.
Yes.
Councilmember Leone. And Mayor Carlett.
Yes. And that is unanimous. Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda, our second public hearing, is 15R. This is hearing and adoption of the fiscal year 2019 final budget. Mr. Brown.
Thanks. So the next item tonight is the approval of the fiscal year 2019 final budget. This is the second step for completing the formal adoption of the budget. 2 weeks ago, council adopted the tentative budget and the capital improvement plan, the 10-year capital improvement plan. And a few of these slides, I know you've seen them quite a few times, but we think it's important for the public to see these as well as we adopt the budget. So bear with me on this. Developing a recommended budget is a collaborative effort, and it includes significant input from departments, but also relies and requires direction from council. Last November, in preparation for this year's budget, we met with City Council to discuss your vision and your council priorities. And those are the council priorities that departments really take to heart and are the cornerstones when developing their budgets. Throughout the year, council provides continued guidance, not just during the budget process. And just a month ago, we had the budget study sessions where we discussed the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2019. This slide outlines the key budget policy guidelines established in the council-adopted principles of sound financial management, and this sets the stage for developing the recommended budget. Each year, we update the 5-year long-range forecast that incorporates both revenue and expenditure estimates for all the city's major operating funds. This includes all the revenues that are anticipated to be sustainable or recurring over that 5-year forecast, and the known or anticipated ongoing expenditure requirements. And then we make sure that our reserves are being met, and then apply any balance above those reserves to next year's budget as one-time uses. So here's the proposed budget. In summary, totals $660 million. This represents about an 11.8% increase over the prior year. The operating budget is $294 million, which is a 6% increase, while the $277 million capital budget represents a 31% increase over the fiscal year 2018 plan. The remaining items in the graph are budgeted to pay for the annual debt service, and that's at $42 million, and contingency reserves at $47 million. And as a reminder, we budget those contingency funds for extra authority in case there's an emergency, but only council has that authority to approve those contingency funds. In the early April study sessions, council identified public safety as a top priority for the city. And this is reflective in the proposed budget, where almost 70% of the new available general fund operating resources were applied to the police and fire departments. Some of that includes these 29 positions for public safety. And in conjunction with the police strategic plan, the budget has 12 new FTEs for our police department. And that includes 3 new police officers and 6 police service officers. In the fire medical, with the expansion of the ambulance service, they would receive 16 new FTEs that are funded from the revenue that's generated from that service. Also an administrative assistant, which is proposed using the department's current budget. The next key area includes new positions related to development and growth. The proposed 14.88 FTEs are funded through either rates, fees, or dedicated revenues. And in the other category, we have 3 positions, and that's the real estate development officer funded through their half-cent sales tax, parks and facility worker, which is planned as part of the operating impacts for our CIP, and a recreation coordinator that's paid by a grant in our adult day program. And as you can see, most of these positions either have special revenues, rates, fees, or grants that help us fund these positions. And some important takeaways of the budget as recommended. It's a balanced, it's a balanced budget that it once again keeps our financial principles intact and maintains services. There are no changes in the city's sales tax rate or total property tax rate for the fiscal 19 budget. Staff is recommending a 1-year rate adjustments for the city's residential and commercial solid waste rates, and the budget already includes the 2nd year of the approved water and wastewater utility rates. So overall, this budget ensures that we address important organizational objectives, such as customer service, public safety, economic development, and maintaining the quality services for our citizens. So tonight we're asking that council adopt the fiscal year 2019 final budget, and then on June 5th, we'll be asking council to approve the solid waste and the property tax rates. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Council, are there any questions? All right, this is a public hearing, and I declare this public hearing open. Is there a member of the public who would like to address this issue? This is the fiscal year 2019 budget. Seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. Council, discussion? Do I have a motion? Second. We have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. And the fiscal year 2019 budget passes unanimously. Thank you. We're just going to move right along.
All right. So the next step, as required by state statute, the city must hold a public hearing on the property tax prior to actually approving the city's tax levy. As stated earlier, the city does not propose any changes to our property tax rate, maintaining the rate of $1.44 per $100 of assessed value. For fiscal year 2019, the proposed budget includes moving the 10 cents from secondary to primary. However, the total tax rate would stay the same as in 2018. So as you take the rates and assess valuation and calculate it into terms of a revenue or tax levy, the city will receive about $20.7 million for fiscal year 2019. And as you can see, that's an increase of about $1.4 million, or 7.4%, in total from 2018. And again, that total increase is strictly from the increase in assessed values of the properties. Here's another way to look at that slide, which actually goes back to 2007. And as you can see, the rates have stayed the same for the past 10 years. And again, we don't propose any change for fiscal year 19. When you look at the average property tax bill, you can see that the majority goes to the school districts at 55%. And then we have the special districts at 32%, and the city of Peoria receives about 13% of an average property tax bill. No council action is required regarding the property tax rate, as this is the public hearing only. Council will be asked to adopt the fiscal year 2019 levy at the June 5th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, are there any questions? All right, this is a public hearing. I declare this public hearing open. Is there any member of the public who would like to address this issue? Seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. Council, any discussion? Comments? All right, there is no council action required at this time. Thank you. We will now move on to the Vistancia Community Facilities District Board meeting. And tonight's consent agenda includes items that require a public hearing. If there is any member of the public present who wants to address a public hearing on the consent agenda, please complete a speaker request form and place it in the bin next to the speaker's podium. I have received no speaker request forms. Council or board members, is there any items that should be removed from the consent agenda? Councilmember Binsbacher, Board Member Binsbacher.
Thank you, Mayor. I would
Yes.
like to request that items 18C and 19C be removed for presentation,
Thank you.
please. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will now vote on the consent agenda, which now only consists of item 17C, which is the approval of the minutes from the May 1st, 2018 VCFD meeting. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
I move we approve that area of the consent.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Board, please vote. And that passes unanimously. We will now move on to item 18C, which is a public hearing.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. And we have the District Treasurer, Sonia Andrews, who happens to serve as our Chief Financial Officer at the city, and will provide a presentation for both of those items.
Thank you.
Good evening, District Chair and board members. Item 18C and 19C is the public hearing and the budget and tax levy for Vistancia CFD for fiscal year 19. The preliminary form of this budget and tax levy was presented to the board on May 1st, and the budget totals $4.6 million. There is no change in the tax rate. The tax rate will remain at $210 per $100 of assessed value. It's important to note that since the CFD was formed in 2002, the tax rate has remained at $210. The $210 will generate about $3.3 million in taxes, which will be used to make payments on debt that was used to fund water and sewer infrastructure for the district. And the debt service is budgeted at $4.3 million. The difference is paid by the developer. So tonight, we are asking the board to hold a public hearing and formally adopt the budget and tax levy for fiscal year 19.
Thank you. Board, are there any comments or questions?
None. Thank you for that explanation.
Thank you. All right, this is a public hearing, and I declare the public hearing open. Are there any members of the public who would like to address this issue? Seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. Board, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote. Oh, wait a minute. Do not vote. There's no board action required on this. Clerk, is that correct? Oh, just zooming along here. Okay, thank you. No board action required. We are going to move on to item 19C, the final Vistancia Community Facilities District budget and tax levy for the fiscal year 2019. Please proceed.
So 19C is the budget and tax levy for Vistancia. Again, there is no change in the tax rate at $210, and we're asking the board to formally adopt the budget and tax levy.
Okay, thank you. This is not a public hearing, but I will entertain a motion or discussion from council. Board.
Motion to approve 19C.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. We are going to be voting. Board, please vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we will now move on to the Vistancia West Community Facilities District meeting. And tonight's consent agenda also includes items that require a public hearing. If there's any member of the public who would like to address a public hearing that is on the consent agenda, please fill out a speaker request form and place it in the bin next to the podium. Consent agenda consists of items 20, 22, and 20, 21 and 22, one of which is a public hearing. Are there any items to be removed from consent?
Mayor, I'd like to remove 21 and 22C for additional explanation as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we are going to vote on item 20C, which is the minutes from the May 1st, 2018 Vistancia West Community Facilities District meeting. Do I have a motion on item 20C?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Board, please vote.
Great.
The consent agenda passes unanimously. And we will now move on to the public hearing, which is the final district budget and tax levy for fiscal year 2019. Mr. Tyne.
Thank you. And just in the future, regarding the formality, we'll put these on the regular agenda in the future so we don't have to go through that extra step. So thank you for, I appreciate that. So with that, again, we'll defer to District Treasurer, Ms. Andrews.
Item 21 and 22C are the public hearing and budget and tax levy for Vistancia West CFD for fiscal year 19. Again, the preliminary form of this budget and tax levy was presented to the board on May 1st. Just like the Vistancia CFD, there is no change in the tax rate. The tax rate will remain at $210, just like in previous years. And the tax rate also will generate tax levy to pay for the debt service which funded sewer infrastructure for the district. So tonight we're asking the board to hold a public hearing and formally adopt the budget and tax levy for Vistancia West.
Thank you. All right, so this is a public hearing, and I declare this public hearing open. Is there any members of the public who would like to address this issue? Seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. Board members, are there any Discussion or comments? All right. There is no board action required on this item. We will not be voting this time. So the next item is 22C, and this is the final district budget and tax levy for fiscal year 2019.
Yes, and the budget for Vistancia West totals $3.7 million. Again, there is no change in the tax rate, no increase in the tax rate. It remains at $210. And so we're asking the board to formally adopt the budget and tax levy for fiscal year 19.
Thank you. Board members, any comments or discussion? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Thank you. It passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda is call to the public for non-agenda items. I do not have any speaker request forms, so we will move on to reports from the city manager. Mr. Tyne.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Just a quick notification, you can see we do have the council calendar that is available, but I have no presentations for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was that, huh? All right. So Youth Council Liaison Acosta?
Thank you, Mayor. So, wow, I can still remember the day that I was first inducted as a youth council liaison, and let me tell you, I had a hard time getting over how intimidating all of this was, but, oh, I can feel the tears coming, I'm sorry, but it's probably gonna happen, I'm gonna cry. It's been a year, and I'm extremely grateful for all the people I've met, and
Including me.
Take your time. Take your time.
And everyone that has helped me achieve my goals. The council members have been prime examples of great leaders, and I've learned a great deal from you all, from everyone that's given a presentation, and I'm so grateful. I'm grateful beyond belief. I'm going to say that word a lot. They've taught me not only on topics pertaining to city government, but also on just how to be a leader, and they've given me a lot of tips and tricks that I will carry with me throughout my life and my career in college. I would specifically like to say thank you to Jeff Tyne, because I bother him a lot during city meetings. I ask him a lot of questions, and he always does a great job in answering them for me. Tammy, you've been our guide, and without you, I'd be bothering Jeff a lot more. The youth are and have been so lucky to have you and for you to take them under your wing. Thank you to my parents for always having for always standing by my side and building my confidence. Confidence that has helped me believe that I can succeed and achieve my dreams. Thank you to my friends for being here and for always supporting me as well. I enjoyed my time as a youth council liaison, and although it's really sad to leave, I'm beyond excited to pass the seat down to the next youth. Thank you. Thank you so much to the city and to you all.
I think you made all of us cry now. Thank you. Councilmember Patena, it's your turn.
And I get to follow that.
Yes.
So on Thursday, May 10th, I attended the Police Department Awards Ceremony. There were about 28 recipients of awards, Distinguished Service Medals, Life-Saving Achievement Awards, Educational Achievement Awards, Meritorious Performance Awards. This is about my 4th or 5th year going, and what I noticed was that, we have a small city feel, but we have big city problems, and our police and our fire out there every day making sure we're safe. As an example, there were 8 recipients of the life-saving awards. That meant our police get first on scene often, and they're doing CPR or whatever else it takes to save lives. And I just find it very interesting. And it was a really nice event, and I always look forward to it every year. A couple of weeks back, I attended TheaterWorks presentation on Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Most people know that I'm not a fan of musicals. Matter of fact, I was at an event with the mayor and her husband, and Dennis asked me, "You actually went to this without it being a city function?"
No, that wasn't my husband.
And I did, and I truly enjoyed myself. We have 2 theaters here in Peoria. We have Arizona Broadway Theater, and we have TheaterWorks, the community theater. And I can tell you that there is no difference in the level of performance. It was such a great performance. These were all youth, from 7th graders all the way up to seniors, and it was really really a great performance. It's very affordable. It was a packed house, and I really did enjoy the performance. I can't promise I'm going to be going to other musicals, but I really did enjoy this one. On Friday, May 11th, I, along with my son, Andy Granger, and Anthony Alejandro, we played in the Peoria Chamber of Commerce golf tournament, and it's our way of, when we buy a sponsorship, it's our way of supporting the chamber through the city. We did come in 2nd place. We shot a 60. It was a very windy day. My partners, they got a trophy for their ability to play golf. My trophy said, "Thank you for participating." So, yeah. So, but it was a good time. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to it every year. Also, I'd like to acknowledge our finance department. I saw on one of my emails today, it said, Peoria wins top financial award from GFOA. The city of Peoria, in competition with several major cities across the country, including Denver, Colorado, and Kansas City, Missouri, was recently recognized for its best practices. The city was awarded the 2018 Award for Excellence in Government Finance for exceptionally well-implemented best practices in strategic management of liabilities. Whatever that means, congratulations to our finance department. I would like to say congratulations to Maylee Acosta and Cassidy Gatrost. I know this is a bittersweet day for you, but I've watched you both grow very much in the year that you've been up here. You, prior to you being here, we had some pretty special young adults up here on this dais, and I just want you to know that you've both done yourself proud. So you're sure you're going to be successful wherever you go, whatever you do. Congratulations to both of you. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Binsbacher.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to also congratulate all of the Police Department Award recipients and Finance on their recognition as well. I would also, on May 8th, I attended Westmark's Economic Development Summit and was really proud to be there and see Peoria recognized in just an amazing way, really. It was Kirsten Hall who received a recognition award from Westmark for her role in creating the Regional West Valley Workforce Development Implementation Strategy. And I was really proud of that accomplishment, not just for Kirsten, but for Peoria. And she was very quick to share that recognition with the entire economic development team and the mayor and council for their role in kind of taking Peoria to the forefront of that effort. And but she personally was recognized for her individual role in leading that charge and keeping it moving forward. So congratulations to Kirsten, definitely. Also on May 9th, I did a ride along with code enforcement with Evan Greenwald. And I didn't really know what to expect from that ride, but I will tell you, I learned a lot. And I won't go into all those details, but I will say that is just one more area of the city of Peoria that is so critical, that that work that they're doing out there really does contribute to our quality of life. The relationship that they're building with the residents and keeping the neighborhoods in compliance and beautiful is really important to the overall image of our city, and it was very enlightening. Again, time well spent, and I thank them for their time and making me feel welcome in that process. I want to thank all of the community. The Chamber Golf annual golf event was actually at Trilogy Golf Course, which is in my district, and it was well attended from, I don't golf, wind or no wind, yeah. But it was very well attended from what I understand, and I just love to see all of that participation and support for our local businesses and what the Chamber's doing to support local businesses in Peoria. We had on May 12th a shred event at Copper Hills Church, which again is another result of a great partnership. People came out and took advantage of that shred event, but we also did that in partnership with Alex's Lemonade Stand, which started 10 years ago. Alex is now 13. He's significantly taller than I am. And so he's grown up doing this event. And last I heard, they raised over $6,000, which was a huge success, their most successful year at that event and at that location. And again, just kudos to the community for coming out, taking advantage of the shred event and contributing to that effort. And finally, on May 12th, Rec Around the Corner. I want to congratulate Community Services, Kelly Kincaid, for leading that charge. Rec Around the Corner is a great new, first time ever, can I say that? First time ever in my district for sure, where an example of taking activities and services north so that folks up there can take advantage of a great opportunity. There were probably 50 or so people there at Sunset Park. There was a family Zumba class and an obstacle course and inflatables and healthy food trucks, if you can believe there's such a thing. But it incorporated health and wellness, and it was just a fantastic event, and I look forward to more of those. So thank you. It was a great 2 weeks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Finn.
Thank you. I really have no comments this evening except to wish Maylee and Cassidy all the best. I think I speak for the entire council when we say we are just blown away every year by the quality of youth that we get up here, and watching you grow and learn and participate is almost as enriching for us, I think, as it is for the two of you. So thank you for all that you did this year. I wish you all the best, and I know that you will do fabulous, fabulous things. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. On the 3rd of May, I attended the May the 4th Be With You over at the Sunrise Library. And Nathaniel, I want to thank you and your staff. You guys did a phenomenal job. You had over 300 young individuals along with their parents all dressed up in costumes and giving away prizes. And it was a great opportunity to just watch the youth and how you guys interact at the library. So thank you and your staff for the phenomenal job that you did. On the 7th, I was honored to attend the celebration 20-year anniversary of Frontier Elementary School. It's amazing how that school is truly the heart of that community over in Fletcher Heights. The turnout of residents that came out to just interact with the teachers and the students was just phenomenal. So I want to thank the staff for inviting me over to that event. And then again, finally, to Maylee and Cassidy, you guys are truly a gem on this dais, and I know you guys are destined for great things. That you've shown your leadership here and your representation of the youth, and their voice is going to be heard for some time. So congratulations to you, but also congratulate to all 2,909 seniors that are graduating this week from Peoria high schools. You guys are what this city is all about. See, we have a couple here in the audience already. So thank the students and their parents for sticking it out with them and really seeing it through so that they can graduate and move on to better and greater things. So thank you, Mayor. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Hunt.
Well, it can't be said too much. Congratulations to Maylee and Cassidy, and thank you. And Maylee, if you're like this tonight, I can't wait to see you on graduation. I hope you have a big wad of Kleenexes. I love high school kids. I've spent my life with them. It took me 16 years to finally graduate from Peoria High School. And I think these are two of the best. But I also have to say that I think today's youth are just the best. They're the best of the generations. And we can hear a lot of negative stuff about kids, the newspapers. But I think when we have examples like this, and we all in our lives know so many more great kids, Maylee, you're going to make such a difference on that NAU campus. You maybe are going to be up as a freshman, but you are going to make your mark. You're going to leave a mark on that, and then as you progress through your college courses, you're just going to get stronger and stronger. And we would like to take credit for part of that, and maybe we've had a small part, I hope we have, but you've got it in you, and you have wonderful family, and enough can't be said about the families. And Cassidy, to your family, especially your mom, she has been with you. I don't know if you drive yet, but you certainly didn't drive when you started this adventure. And your mom has driven you all the time, and that's just great family support. So I could just go on and on about how wonderful kids are, but I'll stop. I want to thank, once again, the Heart Pantry really came through when we had the Red for Ed for teachers. You know, what they do is they provide food, they provide meals, lunches and weekend meals for homeless high school kids. And if there's no school in session, there's no place to drop that off. And so they made sure that they still were able to do that and that all those kids got fed. I want to point out Ask Me Group, and this is the Ask Me Corner back here, so in case you hadn't noticed, they're there every 2 weeks when we are, and they just have become the strongest advocates for community service, and I'm so proud to recognize them and to be part of their unique qualities. Two big, huge impacts. 2 weekends ago on Sunday morning, I attended their pancake breakfast down at the restaurant, I can't remember the name of it, Applebee's. And the restaurant wasn't important. What they do is they don't open until 11, so they give the charity the restaurant from 7 in the morning until 10. And they all were serving and everything. Eric didn't drop anything that I saw. But the money was all, the money for the pancakes went to little Isabel. What a doll. This little 2-year-old, I don't believe she knows that she has a terminal heart condition and she needs a transplant. And so a lot of agencies are stepping up to help, and this was certainly worthwhile. And then a little boy, this last Saturday, they went to his home. He has cystic fibrosis and allergies. And his family has not been able to keep their backyard up, so it was largely a dried up weed and dirt patch. And so they went in, and on both of these, they partnered with Advantage Landscaping, who donate their time and their skills to go in, and they cleaned up this backyard because this little boy can't breathe, literally, between the cystic fibrosis and his allergies that are stimulated through the dust, and we all know, any of us with allergies have had a terrible season. So thank you to you guys and to David Bell and Advantage Landscaping for just putting your hearts out there and giving up your time. And it's especially the landscaping, that's hard work. Congratulations to the Police Department Award recipients. And again, Nathaniel, wow, you really came through. If you can believe it, over 1,000 really weird-looking creatures descended upon Main Library last Saturday for the Library Con. Is that what it was called? Something, anyway, where they dress up and they're like from outer space and everything. 1,000 of them in that library. Every floor was packed with these creatures. And Mary Lou and I think friends and Nathaniel had activities for them. They didn't just roam around, but they really looked like they were having a great time. I didn't understand most of it, but hey. And Bill, you really should go to the theater more often. It would probably grow on you. Joseph happens to be one of my very favorite musicals. And this coming weekend is the last weekend for it. If you haven't seen it, it's just fun. It takes the story of Joseph from the Bible and makes it very modern. Elvis appears, the Beatles appear. It's just really fun. And I went last weekend, and I'm going again this weekend, and there are very few seats left available. So when they're saying packed audience, they are selling out every performance over there because they do such a great job. So if you don't have your tickets yet, you better get on there and order them. Oh, and because it's YouthWorks, it's only $14. It's not an expensive ticket at all, and take your kids. And it has been a fun 2 weeks and busy, but that's what we like, is to be busy and out there in the neighborhoods and having a good time with what we do. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Leone?
Yes, thank you. I just want to say that I only have a couple of things here. I was at the Peoria Police Department for the ceremony, and it was great. It's always good to see these people get awards and get promotions, and we had quite a few of them. We had Jackson Anderson, Volunteer of the Year, and Explorer of the Year, Austin Clemens, and Lisa Scott, Officer of the Year, and Employee of the Year was Jennifer Lupus. I think it was great to see them get all these trophies. Swan, Supervisor of the Year, Jeff Carpenter, and Christopher Webb. And I also want to thank the committee for putting this together, because it's not easy. It's a hard job, and I want to thank them. They did a great job. The other thing I want to say is that don't forget, on the third Saturday of the month, 87th Avenue and Olive, we have this, the church over there, the Lutheran Church, who gives for $10 from 8 to 10, and get a big box of fruit and vegetables and bread. So I think it's a good idea to come down and give $10. As long as you can carry the box, you're all set. I did want to say one thing to Cassidy and Acosta. It's been a pleasure having you on this dais. It's important that you learn from us, at least from me, anyway. And Cassidy, I met Cassidy when she was 14 years old at Cotton Bowl. Was you 14? Yeah. And I talked to her and her mother about getting on the advisory board. And her and Acosta has been to DC at least twice, and it's great. So I'm just congratulate both of them. And someday, mark my words, I'm going to be a campaign manager, because she's going to be a city council person in the Pine District. God bless each and every one of you. God bless your family and America. Thank you.
Thank you. Youth Council Liaison Gatrist?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Ooh, where to start? Well, first off, I would like to say thank you to everybody in the city of Peoria, because you guys have taught us so much, and you taught us how the city worked, how to plan, coordinate things, and you definitely helped us on our leadership skills going to all these business trips. I've definitely learned a lot throughout this past year, so I just want to say thank you to that. And I just also want to say thank you to my parents, because they've always been there for me. And they were the ones who continuously said, you need to do this, you need to do that, and you need to go for it, just do it. And so if it wasn't for them always pushing me, I wouldn't have been to where I am today. So, and thank you for the awards. I hope you like ours.
We do.
And
We
so
love it.
I just want to say thank you all so much, and thank you to everyone who's helped us on this journey. So, yeah.
Thank you. You know, I get to sit here and look out on our audience and see the pride in the faces of the families, the parents who are here for our youth council liaisons. And we thank you so much for everything that you have done to help bring these kids along to be such stellar citizens of the city of Peoria. It's just incredible. And it is our joy to be able to watch them become leaders in our city as they transform from the beginning of their school year to the end of their school year, and their public speaking and their style and everything that they're involved in. It just becomes such a rich part of our city. So thank you so much to their families and all that you do to help them along and to make sure that they get here and to make sure that they feel confident and loved in everything that they do. I would also like to call attention to the fact that tonight we approved our fiscal year 2019 budget. It was a $660 million budget that will get us through the entire next year, and it has all the priorities of our citizens, increasing our public safety, our quality of life, our economic development opportunities, all of the things that matter to our citizens. It was a very transparent process, and it started last fall with work study sessions and then went all throughout this spring with public meetings and public hearings. There was no increase in our tax rate, and it's a fully balanced budget. So I hope that all of our citizens feel if they have any questions or want to know more about that, they can look online. They can see our budget line by line. You can go through all, 1,100 pages of that budget and find out exactly whatever it is you need to know. And if you've got any other questions about it, feel free to call us. We're happy to talk about it. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.